Good morning, namaskar. If you find the echo of what Professor Wellesley said and Peirce said before me, it is not by chance. It is by design. Because if we are talking about such a serious issue, and if there is no overlap, there is something wrong. That is the only way we can validate the authenticity. And this requires a story of Honeybee Network. What have we done for the last 25 years? A nameless, faceless person comes in contact with the network, gets an identity. The voice, visibility, and the viability of a person's vision is what we try to do. And before I discuss 5 tensions and 5 transformations, let me tell you a small story. A story is about 2,000 years old, and it tells us something about the way we should think, or we could think. There was a great teacher, all of you know him, Lord Buddha, and he had his own way of teaching. So a student came to him and was very keen to learn. So one day he asked the student, go and bring a glass of water. So he went and brought a glass of water. He took the water, gave the empty glass back to the student, and he went back and kept it back in the kitchen. He called the student back. He said, what did you do? Sir, you asked me for the glass of water. I brought the glass of water. You took it. I kept it back. No, what did you do? And he again repeated the same thing. And he again asked, but what did you do? And the student was completely flabbergasted. He was not able to understand what is he missing. And then suddenly he says, yes, I got it. So what did you do? I brought the glass of water. You took the water. When I was going back, and he said, I threw just a drop of water like this. Sometimes children empty the glass while going back. And he said, what did you say? And the word just a drop of water got him Zen. He got his nirvana. He got his enlightenment. Now, 2,000 years ago, there was no shortage of water. There was absolutely no possibility of scarcity for the next 2,000 years. And here is a teacher who's telling us that a drop of water needs to be cared about. Now, in the periods of abundance, superabundance, with no probability of scarcity, absolutely no chance that there could be a shortage of water for the next 1,900 years, a teacher is already building the capacity to deal with that eventuality which will come in 2013, when there will be wars around water. There will be, what is happening between Egypt and Ethiopia, and all over the world, there are tensions. So there is something called as foresight. And this foresight is needed more today than ever before in the history of humankind for 2 reasons. One, never before has the knowledge of our society, of the elders, been lost at a rate faster than today. If you look at the total loss of knowledge in the last 2,000 years, and you look at only last decade, more knowledge has been lost in last decade or last century than ever before in the history of humankind. Why? Because the relationship between the grandparents and the grandchildren has been substantially, significantly sapped. And therefore, the certain kind of knowledge which only could transfer between the grandparent and grandchildren is getting lost. So there is a crisis of knowledge, there is a crisis of institution. Please appreciate that whenever there is a scarcity, the first phenomena of our life which comes under stress is the institution. Ability to comply with collective norms and constrain my individual freedom in deference to the norms that collective has decided. So therefore, this being this so, what are the 5 tensions that I would like you to kindly keep in mind? And I will not dwell on them too much, but they are very important tensions. First is between agency and autonomy. I want to do something, but is it enough for me to do? Can I alone change the world? Will my change make the difference? Do I have the power to bring about the change? Do I have the ability to bring about a change? So I ask these questions to myself, and as psychologists often tell us, we fall into the trap of learned helplessness. We try to then justify our inertia in the garb of, look, I'm alone, I can't bring about change. So agency and autonomy, one of the tensions, fundamental tension that we need to resolve. Passion versus performance. I'm extremely passionate about what I want to do. I'm extremely rhetorical. I can talk about for hours. What do I do actually? You know, I always say that we know so much, we feel this much, and we do only this much. I wish this inverted pyramid becomes a rectangle. I mean, I know it's very difficult because all of us have a degree of hypocrisy embedded in our culture, in our values, in our lifestyle, and I wouldn't mind that. Probably I'm no exception to that. But how much? How much? So how much of passion and how much of performance should be traded off? Persistence versus autopoiesis is extremely important. Many times we say persist with the change. And you know what? Persistence could be fatal. If Columbus had pursued and hadn't done the mistake in his calculation, hadn't given him by chance the discovery of the new nation, he would have drowned in the sea because his calculations were absolutely wrong. He could have persisted with those calculations and would never reach anywhere. Autopoiesis is ability to self-correct, self-design, self-organize. One can also say it in a simple language, blended versus bundled innovations. So blended is something which you cannot separate out. So if I blend two different designs, two different modules, and if I break them or take them apart, they lose their integrity. The bundled is where you can take feature by feature. So a lot of people suggest, give me a very simple solution. I will add features and functions as I go along, and as I have more income, more opportunity, I'll be able to do that. There is a message here. What kind of designs we will follow in future which will avoid this tension? Positive versus negative capability. Positive capability is ability to take decisions and implement them. Negative capability is to deal with ambiguity, fuzziness, not able to have clear direction and yet find a way and motivation to move forward. Dealing with fuzziness, dealing with ambiguity. And finally, symmetrical versus asymmetrical innovation models, open innovation models. Today, there's a huge literature on open innovation. Large number of companies are trying to crowdsource ideas from outside. There's hardly any major company which wouldn't try to seek ideas from the common people. So there is the effort that we made 25 years ago, Honeybee Network as an open innovation model, slowly and slowly it is sinking in. But there's a problem. There is hardly any acknowledgement, very little attribution, and practically no reciprocity. So I'm willing to take the ideas. I can pay you amount, whatever it is due, if sometime I just give you recognition that yes, I got the knowledge from you. And then when I file a patent, it is only in my name or my company's name. And I never build capacity of the people who shared so much valuable knowledge to me. So there is no reciprocal sharing of my skills, my resources, my techniques, my tools with the larger society. There's only asymmetry, one-way flow of information and ideas. And this is the problem. This is the tension that we need to resolve. What are the 5 transformations I want to share with you today? One is the new chemistry of sustainability equation, and I'll come to that in a minute. From initiative to institutionalization. What did Honeybee Network do? How did we institutionalize the idea of learning from common people in our nation? A nation of 1.odd billion people. And how did our head of the state, last 3 presidents of India, have accepted and incorporated the message of Honeybee Network in their polity, in their governance, in their ability to lead the nation? How do we learn from frugal, flexible, and friendly heuristics? There are many ways in which we can learn from innovation, but one of the ways is heuristics. You can learn at artifactual level, you can learn at heuristic level, you can learn at analogic level, and you can learn at Gestalt level, the whole configuration, constellation of factors. 4 levels at which we can learn from innovations. How do we learn from the flexible and frugal heuristics? How do we engage with the children and youth? India, as we know, many other countries know that because of demographic dividend, we are the youngest nation, more than 65% people less than 35 years of age. Now you have such a huge young population. How do you engage with them? And all over the world, this question is bothering people, that look, young people will not wait till the older generation of leadership will give way, and yet the framework that we have are not open enough to allow their articulation, their aspiration to be brought into the system. So, and finally, what are the transformation through new models of financing and co-creation? What can we learn from that? And let me go through each of these. But before we look at transformation, we must understand that inclusion of societal interests takes place in 5 different ways. You can include these spaces which have been bypassed, the so-called economically backward regions, regions where things are difficult, they are not very accessible, difficult terrain. You can include those sectors where the rate of value addition is very low. So if you invest in them, you won't get much return. You can include those sectors and those skills which today do not have merit. We have just look at the paradox. We have a program for employment guarantee. 250 million people are given job for 100 days to break stones and dig earth. And every sculptor, every singer, every narrator, every songwriter will be forced to dig the earth and break the stones to get employment. Because we don't value the skill that they have. There is no matrix by which we can say, okay, you make a sculpture and you will be paid employment wages for that, making that beautiful sculpture. No. We are de-skilling the society. Rather than skilling them, we are de-skilling them. So therefore, sometimes societies find it very difficult to deal with those skills which otherwise are very valuable, but in the matrix of economics that we have chosen, somehow we are not able to valorize those skills. So therefore, including those skills, how do we do that? How do we include those sections of society which, for some reason or the other, have a different time frame and different way of valuing what is good and what is bad, what is useful and what is not so useful? So these are the 5 different ways in which inclusion can take place, and we'll see one by one. I've already mentioned this. Let us look at sustainability equation. First, transformation. This is a double-decker bridge in Meghalaya, Cherrapunji, a region which is known for maximum rainfall on this earth. And this is, to me, it epitomizes ultimate notion of sustainability. There is practically nothing in it which will create entropy. Everything is renewable. Practically everything is renewable. We walked on this bridge. Every 6 months we walk in different parts of the country as a part of Shodh Yatra. So we walked it in this village where this bridge is located. But this bridge would not have come about unless there were 3 conditions fulfilling the sustainability equation. First, technology. Technology is like word. Institutions are like grammar. And culture is like thesaurus. We need all the 3. We need all the 3 to be blended, to be fused in a way that sustainable outcomes can take place. Focusing on any one of them will make the project unviable. We will not be able to reach very far. So how did we do that? How did we achieve from initiative to institutionalization? Let us look at, so therefore when our president gives award every 2 years, and he hosts an exhibition of innovation in the president's house, he has made a statement. When head of the state honors common people who have solved problems through their own genius in an environmentally sustainable way, it gives a message to the society. India cares about such solutions. Incidentally, in the National Innovation System concept, India is the only country where the innovations from the grassroots have been incorporated as a part of National Innovation System. National Innovation Foundation, set up in 2000, is an institute of Government of India, Department of Science and Technology. So the only country, to my mind, maybe there are other countries which are trying, China is trying, some other countries are trying, to bring the knowledge of the informal sector as a part of its national innovation system. So it's not just the formal R&D equal to innovation, but innovation is also in the laboratories of life, as Dr. Mashelka often says. So how does it happen? The President of India hosts exhibition. He will also inaugurate the National Innovation Clubs in every central university where he goes for convocation. He is the rector of 40 central universities in our country. And he will meet the innovators, and the former president will award the children. So there's a National Innovation Club being set up in every central university. And what are we trying to do? Search, spread, sense, and celebrate. Search for green solutions. No matter how advanced we are in science and technology, there are always ways in which people come out with this beautiful bridge that we saw just now. There are always solutions that people can come out with. No harm in learning from them. Let us look for them. Let us look for them. Let us look around and find knowledge produced by people who are not trained to do that, so that we deprofessionalize the knowledge system. We have far too much constraint put on the shoulders of the scientists and technologists when we say, look, you are a metallurgist, All metallurgical problem will only come to you, and you have to solve them. Yesterday I mentioned that when some tribal people find a way of measuring temperature in a furnace where they are smelting iron to make bows and arrows, by hearing the sound, they measure temperature at which they should break the furnace by hearing the sound. They take a pipe, put it on the furnace, hear the sound of the fire, and they know now it is 3,000 degrees centigrade, we should break the furnace. Who has told us that you can measure temperature by sound? But there's a new heuristic they have developed. Maybe it may be useful in certain situations to us. So search, spread, sense the unsolved problem. There's a lot of inertia in every society, but certainly in our country. A lot of problems, millions. I mean, you can imagine, let me give you one example of inertia. All the rice that we eat in our country, all the rice practically, 99.9% of the rice that we eat is taken from the crop, paddy crop, which is transplanted manually in a back-bending posture by women. A country which can send 10 satellites in a single launch in the space, 5 of them foreign-made. A country which has made the cheapest lunar mission, $76 million was our Chandrayaan cost, the cost of putting the space mission, space device and rocket to the moon. Nobody could do it less than $1 billion. So we have enormous scientific capability, no doubt about it, and I'm very proud of it. But then how do we justify that 99% of the paddy which is grown in our country is transplanted manually by women keeping their feet in the water with a back-bending posture? So please appreciate there's a huge ability in every society to live with inertia of certain segments of society indefinitely, and this is what we want our young people to sense, benchmark, and decide that they will not live with the problems unsolved anymore. Our generation is the culprit. We knew the problems, and we learned to live with them indefinitely. Thankfully and hopefully, our younger children have no such tolerance. They are very impatient, and that's the most redeeming feature. And of course, celebrate the achievers. So, third transformation. After institutionalizing whatever we try to do, and of course there are a lot of steps required still, we have signed agreement with the Indian Council of Medical Research, we have signed agreement with the Council of Scientific Industrial Research, so there's a marriage between formal and informal science. The third transformation is learning new heuristics. We were walking in Bengal, came across these beautiful terracotta horses lying under a tree. We asked the potters, why did you keep such beautiful horses under a tree? It could be broken, somebody could take it away, damage. They said, no, these are not the beautiful ones, they are the best ones. Why did you keep the best one? So that when our children pass by this road, they know what the current standard of excellence is. They should do better. My God, in any management book, have I read about open source standard of excellence? I have been teaching management science for the last 35 years. I didn't come across a book which talked about open source standard of excellence. Here is a community which has implemented that. So we have institutional heuristics, norms, values, belief systems by which we can improve our ability to excel all the time, every time. Powerful heuristic. Autopoiesis. This is a real tree. It didn't know that it's not supposed to branch. And by mistake, suddenly it realized, my God, what have I done? It's branched, but no, I must correct it. And therefore it converts into a stem. Nature has all the time the desire and effort to correct its problems. In my body at this moment, there are a lot of mutations taking place. And therefore, we need to be able to correct these problems as we go along. Third heuristic. 2 innovators developed a bamboo windmill in 70 euro in Assam, and then it was modified to 1,200 euros, or 700 euros, or 900 euros in Gujarat. What was the innovation? They asked 2 questions which we many times will never ask. First question they asked was, does it matter whether a paddy field, which was being irrigated by a hand pump run by the windmill, bamboo windmill, does it matter whether it is filled in 40 hours or 4 hours? Second question they asked, does it matter whether water comes to the field smoothly or in spurts? The answer to both the question was, it doesn't matter. If it doesn't matter, why do I need to maximize output per unit of time? Now, this is not a heuristic which we will teach our students normally. But under certain situations of sustainability, it doesn't pay to maximize output per unit of time. It doesn't help. In fact, it helps if water comes to the field slowly, because less leaching of nutrients will take place. The slow irrigation will make the soils more sustainable. Please appreciate that point. It is technologically better, not worse. Now, but that's the heuristic I will never think about, because why should I not maximize output per unit of time? That's what I've been taught all my life. So you please appreciate. And why should water come in spurts? Doesn't matter to the field. So such heuristics will come out from the grassroots innovations which we need to learn from and can transform the way we think about solving problems of climatic uncertainty in future. Large number of innovations of this kind. I will not go into these examples. You can find them. A compressed air car developed by a grassroots innovator, less than a cent per kilometer. This is very interesting. Just I will take a minute to give this example. You have this shelf over the fire. And the most interesting example is this one, these two. You have 4 shelves above the fireplace. All of us have our kitchen. We have a gas in the kitchen, and the flue gases around the vessel go into the atmosphere, and we don't care about it. We talk about global warming, but we don't use the heat which is being wasted every day in our kitchen. What is this lady doing? She has put this shelf for drying the wood for trolleys. The wood gets cured, becomes stronger when it is heated. She is drying the fuel wood on the next shelf, because this place receives a lot of rainfall, so drying the fuel wood. She is drying the cheese and meat which she has to preserve, and then there is a bag of seed on the top which is being disinfected. 4 layers of harnessing the heat which is otherwise going waste. We will teach her, or she will teach us something about using energy in our everyday life. There is something that we can learn from that. And these are the examples. How do we learn from children? Very empathetic innovation. Why can't we do co-paddling? A rickshaw driver and the passenger both can do co-paddling. Why can't I use second class? Class 2, this boy got an award from Dr. Kalam, our former president. Why can't I use windmill for running a ceiling fan? Wonderful idea. So Techpedia is a platform which engages young people of our country. Now we have got 160,000. Yesterday I found the latest number. 160,000 engineering projects done by 400,000 students from 600 colleges have been put together. Outstanding solutions by students. Nowhere have you seen a wheelchair designed to climb the stairs manually. That's what Shanu has done. A software to process the sign language into the text. Large number of solutions are available here, and just one example, how beautifully can young people ask questions which the big companies which manufacture refrigerators have never asked. All of you have refrigerator in your house. You know that it has a compressor behind the refrigerator. That compressor produces heat. Have you ever used this heat? Show me, tell me name of one company in the world which has used the heat produced by compressor. This boy, Dhruv, put a heat exchanger alongside the compressor, took the heat, made a hot chamber. It gives you hot water and a chamber to keep the food warm. And when you take the heat away from the compressor, its life gets extended. It consumes 20% less electricity. This is the model of innovation which India is teaching to the world. A frugal innovation, less energy, more output. That's the way to go ahead. 20% less electricity, you're getting hot chamber and you're getting cold chamber as it was before. This is what we are capable of. We should be able to now final transformation about the financing model, innovation enterprise investment, how do we link it? And I will just say, how can blinkers be so bold? You know, the large financial institutions, the development institutions are not only blind, they are deaf and they are dumb. Because you have heard about microfinance all over the world. When did you hear about microventure finance? Tell me. Tell me one conference which has talked about microventure finance, which we created in 1997, and then 2003, our government agreed to create a fund, microventure innovation fund. If there are innovations at grassroots level, you obviously need risk capital. I was so happy when Paz mentioned that he has created what is called SHIFT, a program of SHIFT which looks at clean technology innovations. And I think they also have a fund here which funds those small innovations. I think we need such funds all over the world to be able to make transition from microfinance to microventure finance if green innovations have to go a longer way. How do we do that? The incubation model will have to change if characteristics of domain are unknown and if characteristics of product are also not known. Technology is not known, domain is not known. What kind of model will I use? When both are known, I use incubation. When both are unknown, I use sanctuary model. In incubation, there is a chaos outside, order inside. In sanctuary, wildlife sanctuary, there is a chaos inside, order outside. That is the model of development of innovation, social innovation, entrepreneurial solutions which we need. I will close by saying that there are many examples where we are pooling knowledge of the people and trying to get benefits to them. I also talk about G2G. We have been able to sell grassroots innovation-based solutions all over the world, in every continent. 62 countries are showing interest in what grassroots innovators are solving problems. That shows that there's a place in the global market which is available for these creative people. And there can be a reverse globalization, not just large corporations selling things to common people, but common people selling things to the large number of people around the world. There's a long tail of innovation. We should never do a mistake of only focusing on scale. Scale must never become enemy of sustainability. There are solutions which will diffuse widely, but there will also be solutions which will go to the niches. And if we exclude them, people in those niches become restive. They become insurgents. They take to violence. So if we want order in our society, we must follow the long tail, which means that niche-based innovations must also be developed, not only mass-based. So I will just close by saying that there are a large number of examples that are available. And finally, creativity counts, knowledge matters, innovations transform, and incentives inspire, but not just material incentive, also non-material incentive, and not just individual incentives, but also collective incentives. Thank you so much.